Hi everybody, TJ Mack of Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here, and we're coming up to the end of 2023 here, just a couple weeks away. And from a collecting standpoint, it was a very interesting year for me. At the beginning of the year, I spoke of my 2023 collecting goals. And while I stayed within my focus of 30s to 80s baseball, football, and hockey cards, I didn't pick up many of the specific cards I was targeting. And mainly that's due to that not many of them were available at auction this year in a condition I was looking for and at a price as well. And another reason, like in the case of the 55 Bowman Mantle, I was looking to add that card, but I just really wasn't feeling like spending that kind of money, that portion of my budget just on one card this year. I wanted to add many other 55 Bowman baseball cards, which I did do some of that. And I enter each year with a specific budget, and I typically do not go over it. For this year, I was actually about 8% under my budget. So in 2022, I acquired about 160 items. About 150 of them were graded cards, and the rest were magazines. Now in 2023, I acquired 98 items for my collection, which is about 40% less than 2022. And here's the breakdown. So I added 6 magazines to my collection, about 92 graded cards, and of those graded cards, 2 were from the 30s, 1 from the 40s, 38 from the 50s, 30s from the 60s, 19 from the 70s, and 2 from the 80s. Now by sport, I added 28 from baseball, 54 from football, and 10 from hockey. I thought it would be fun to show my 15 favorite cards that I acquired in 2023. Now, some of these I have not yet shown on my channel, and I did not include any cards that were gifted to me because those have extra special meaning, and I didn't want to include them on this list because they're all my favorites. When somebody gives me something for my collection, I just really appreciate it, and I'm grateful for that. So number 15 is this 1955 Bowman Ric and I'm a huge fan of the 55 Bowman set, and what's neat about this card that I like is that in this issue, they would state if it's a player's rookie card, and you can see it right there above the position halfback. And I think this is the first set that ever did that. And Caceres was a great running back for the Chicago Bears, and when he retired in 1966, he was 6th all-time in the NFL history in rushing yards with over 5,700 and 7th in touchdowns with 49. And he's never really received any serious Hall of Fame consideration, and I think he should. And I just love this card with the orange background, beautiful colors. You got the Bears logo there, classic running back pose there, holding the ball tightly to the numbers there on his chest. Just a classic looking card. Now number 14 on my list is this 1961 Topps of Hall of Fame goalie Gump Worsley. And this was another pickup from May. I actually picked this card up the same day I acquired another card you'll see later on in this countdown. And Gump's just one of the great characters of the game. I've talked about him many times before. Just somebody that I really enjoy having in my collection. Love the 61 Topps design with the large puck there. Looks like it's flipping in the air, and you got his name and position. And then you just got that hockey imagery and that pea green background. Number 13 on my list is this 1976 Topps J.R. Richard. By no means a rare or expensive card, but this was one I was searching for a graded copy of for a while. And when I was growing up, Richard was one of the best pitchers in baseball. In 1980, the Astros acquired Nolan Ryan, and along with him, they just had one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball until tragically Richard suffered a stroke after the 1980 All-Star game and was never the same player again. Now, I wanted to add this 76 because I love the 70s baseball fashion on display here with that bright orange Astros jacket. Just a great looking card, and I love the fact that the colors match in the design there with the orange on the bottom as well with the jacket. And 76 is just an underrated design, I think, for baseball. And it's one I've grown more and more fond of over the years. Number 12 on my list is this 1952 Bowman Small of Frankie Albert. And I picked this card way back in January, and it was my third edition of the year at the time. And Albert was one of the first great left-handed quarterbacks in NFL history, and he was the first in the line of the outstanding 49ers signal callers that included guys like Y.A. Tittle and John Brody, Joe Montana, and Steve Young. And it's my first card I had of him. I picked up later on in the year as 51 Bowman as well. but this is one of my favorite images of him. Number 11 is the Tommy McDonald from 1961 Flair set. And I've been adding several cards from this year and plan to add on many more in the upcoming year. And here you have a nice portrait shot here of the 5'9", 175-pound Dynamo, who is a Hall of Fame wide receiver with the Eagles at that time. And I just love the angle of what looks to be a painted-over black and white photo. McDonald's looking up with his eyes squinted, and he has this big smile on his face. And the 61s also have the team logos prominently on display, which I like as well. One of those designs that I've just gotten a lot of appreciation for really over the last year. Number 10 is a combination for me. I have this recently acquired Sports Illustrated from 1981 that I showed not too long ago on my channel with Chuck Muncie on the cover. And then I picked up a couple weeks ago the 1977 Topps rookie card of Muncie as well. And the reason why I like this magazine is it's depicting the 1981 playoffs. It's going over that. It's a synopsis of some of the games. And these are the first games I remember watching of NFL playoff football. And I wanted to add the 77 Topps Muncie to go along with it. And this is a really nice example of this card because he's a player that I just remember growing up as a kid. He scored a lot of touchdowns and was when the Chargers acquired him to go in that Eric Coryell offense. It really was a game changer as far as them putting points up on the board. They were doing it before, but when they added that running element to the team, it just took them to the next level. And I'll show you a close-up of the card. Here we have a great sideline shot of the bespectacled running back who began his career with the Saints. Now here on number 9, we have the 1955 Bowman Whitey Ford. And we got the chairman of the board looking like he's warming up before the game in front of the TV camera. And I've made a push to acquire more 55 Bowman cards in my collection because I like the TV design, which signifies the rise of television as the way Americans would consume their sports information well into the 21st century. I added 4 55 Bowman cards this year, and the Ford was the first one I picked up way back in January, and I definitely plan on adding a few more in 2024. Number 8 is the super sharp 1961 Topps hockey Andy Bathgate. I picked this one up at the same time as I acquired the Worsley card. And Bathgate was an exciting right winger who won the 1959 MVP with the Rangers, played 17 seasons, finished as a Hall of Famer, and was voted one of the NHL top 100 players in 2017. And at number 7, you have this Bob Boyd card, which I just acquired this card in November. I have not shown it yet on my channel. This is his rookie card from the 51 Bowman set. And I just love this image of Boyd reaching back for the football with that eye-catching red and beige backdrop. And then you have that Rams logo prominently on display. And I've been wanting to pair this card up, and I'll show it in another video with my Elroy Hirsch and Tom Fears cards. This is one of the best trios in NFL history, Fears, Hirsch, and Boyd. While not as good as Hirsch and Fears, Boyd was the best receiver in the NFL in 1954, leading the league with 1,212 yards in just 12 games. Number 6 on my list is the Rocky Colavito rookie. I bought this card with a gift card given to me by my oldest daughter for Father's Day. I wanted to add a card with special family meaning, and this one fit that perfectly. Colavito was a favorite of both my father-in-law and my father. My dad grew up a fan of Colavito when he was with the Tigers, and my father-in-law followed him when he was with the Indians. And I could not think of a better player to represent them both than this card right here. And just, I'm grateful for the influence they've had on me and my collecting, and I just think of them both whenever I see this card. And I hope someday my daughter does as well. And number 5, we have my favorite hockey card purchase of the year, and it's this 1960 Parkhurst of Jean Beliveau that I added back in June. Beliveau is probably one of the best 11 or 12 forwards to ever play the game. While I was not looking to add an early 60s Parkhurst Beliveau, I just came across this card, and I just couldn't resist it. It's just such a beautiful looking card. And I got this one instead of a Gordie Howe in this year, and I'm going to look to get the early 60s Parkhurst of Gordie Howe next year. And I just could not resist this stunning example with a beautiful, vibrant yellow background. And the 60s Parkhurst Hall, like I said, it's just going to have to wait until 2024. Number 4, we have this 1961 Fleer Johnny Unitas. This was the last Unitas card I needed to complete his entire Topps Flair in Philadelphia run from 1957 and 1974. Now, I believe that this is the best player run in football. And I'm not talking about value, but considering the longevity of his career, the eras covered, and how great a player he was, I think he is the best run. Unitas was the best quarterback of his era, and while it may be hard to compare eras, if you attempt to do so, then he has to be in the conversation for the best ever. And then at number 3 here, we have the 1963 Bombers Best with Mickey Mantle, Tom Tresh, and Bobby Richardson. This was the first Mantle card I ever owned. I had bought it at a garage sale for $20 when I was a kid in the late 80s. And this was an important acquisition for my collection because it signifies a key part of my collecting journey when I added this card of my dad's favorite player, who will later on become my favorite player. And it's the number that my oldest son wears in baseball to this day, is the good old number 7. We're now down to the last 2. Number 2 is this 1950 Bowman Phil Rizzuto. This card reflects my love of art and the subjects they depict. Here you have the scooter and his American League MVP season from 1950. The Yankees won the World Series that year. And he's just having fun for the cameraman as he leaps up into the air with his glove hand stretched out as far as it goes, as if he's going to rob a line drive hit to the left side. It's just a wonderful piece of vintage art. And then my number 1 acquisition for 2023 is this 1952 Bowman Small Bob Waterfield. And I added this card in October. This is one of my favorite overall football cards in my collection. I'm enamored with the 50 Rams, and Waterfield was an outstanding leader and athlete of that time at quarterback. He could move in the pocket. He had a nice touch on his throws. And he played from 1945 to 1952. He led the league in touchdowns twice and was a 3-time first-team All-Pro while on his way to a Hall of Fame career. And this is his last regularly issued card. Excuse me. I just love the rich blue and the yellow colors of the Rams uniform. And then you have also on the Rams helmet, which was the first logo to ever be placed on a football helmet. Such a beautiful card that draws me in immediately when it's on display. So there you have it, my top 15 purchases. And these editions reflect what I love about the hobby, the stories behind the players, the personal meaning that the cards have to me, and the artwork and photography on the cards. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.